everyone, hope you're doing well. I'm Lucas and welcome back to another F123 League Racing video here on the channel. And today we are back with WOR round 10? Something like that. I don't even know what round it is anymore, but we are at Zandvoort. And yeah, let's just jump straight into it. Here we are at the beginning of Q1, starting our first run. And hopefully our only run of the session. So now, here we are, heading into turn 1, braking just before the 50 metre board. Car just wanting to understeer a little bit, but you get a little bit of grip back as you get to the exit, chucking it through turn 2, and then diving it in, taking a tight line, which is the fastest way on the F123 game, and all F1 games for that matter, as the high line just doesn't work with the, I guess, the way the physics work on this game as well, with how the sort of the drag of the tyres is as well. It's not like you know, on this game in general, you're able to take a lot of shorter lines and stuff like that, but you know, that not being the only variable that influences whether you can take these sort of bankings like the real cars can. But that all said, heading into Sector 3, yeeting it over these curbs. Zandvoort on this game has been nicely remodelled from the previous. No more mountains on the apex. We have, you know, a very nice freshly made version of it, which is really enjoyable to drive as we set the fastest lap of the session, and that was more than enough for us to get through in the one run, which put us P2 by end of session. So solid start to qualifying, saving fresh sets for the remainder of qualifying. So heading in now to turn 1 for our first run of Q2 now, and heading into turn 2 once again, dropping it down to 5th, trying to get the car to rotate as the challenge. So a little bit of understeer, a little bit of push on the front as we, you know, wound our way through the second part of that sort of carousel type corner, the banking corner. Well, I forgot the name of it now. A 6.55 sector 1, more than respectable, but sector 2, a little bit of you know, a bad rebound off of the curb, shall we say, but also not quite getting the car into the apex and then having a snap of exit. So the second sector so far has been quite a mess. Now heading into sector 3, very easy to overcommit over the first right hand curb, but then you have one more corner to negotiate through the final corner. Nice and clean through there. Very easy to use too much curb on the exit as well, which you do not want to use too much of. As we head to the line and we do a 7.5, which was, yeah, definitely could have been better, as that put us P5 after everyone had done their laps. So, yeah, not the best work from myself there through the middle part of the lap. But here we are now, beginning our final attempt as we head into turn 2 for the second time in the session, trying to get the car rotated in, and this time really getting the car, you know, rotated and pointed towards the exit a lot better. So we had a nice solid sector 1 to kick us off now here in the final run of Q2. Down this downhill very well, good one, nice one Lucas. Down the fast right hander, using a lot of curb, but again not getting the car to settle over the curb. Sometimes you can go over and the car balances nicely, but we have just not managed to get the balance over that section so far, and that means we're only marginally up on our lap. But heading into the chicane now, can we gain a bit of time, a bit more smooth through there? A decent chunk of time gained, so we're now half a tenth up going into the final corner, but we just do not get remotely close to that apex, and that is our lap all done. Which was a bit of a silly amount of risk to take in the last corner, as we had quite a bit of time in our pocket, but we were more than enough through Q2 with our first run. So yeah, all good on that front, and here we are now for the first attempt of Q3, you know, where it really matters now. So heading into turn 1, not quite getting a good apex into there, just running in a bit too much through the second part of the first corner, and then way too deep through sector 1 into turn 3. So yeah, really not getting the car rotated here in Q3. The car actually becomes a bit understeerier into Q3, but so the way you need to rotate the car and use the balance is quite a chunk different. And as you can see now, through the middle sector, we avoided the curb completely that time. But through there, the middle sector, using every little bit of track that we can get away with. Actually rotated too much there on that left-hander. Got to the curb a bit too quickly, which maybe compromised the exit ever so slightly into the final sector now. Really enjoy that's a really satisfying section to get right with the throttle pickup as well on the exit, but into the last corner, so easy to get it wrong. Nice and clean, maybe not quite the most optimal exit, just with a little bit of scrubbing, you know, through the exit phase, and not getting a good drive with the curb, as it is P3 provisionally, which actually now down to P4 as the laps come in, now down to P5. So not the best of first runs here in Q3, but we have one more chance. So here it is, one more attempt. Heading into turn 1, do we get the car rotated nicely this time? Yes, we do. Gain the time on the exit, and that is us through turn 1 successfully. Heading into turn 2 now, getting it in nice and tight, and then getting the car rotating down to the apex, save the distance, use that camber to rotate and grip the car up, and look how much we've just gained through there. And that is a fantastic sector 1 to kick our lap off down this fast right-hander to kick off sector 2, using all of the inside road that we can actually get. This time getting over the curb relatively well. We're quite a bit up in the delta now. Little bit too early on the brake though as we come in through here, but again using every little bit of road on the exit, and this time not getting to the apex too early and getting a nice launch out of that corner. And now we are over a 10th up as we head into the final sector of this lap, braking so late into that right-hander. Honestly, I thought I'd overshot it during the lap, but we get a fantastic launch out of that penultimate segment effectively, and then we get a phenomenal exit using the road perfectly on the way out of the final actual corner. And here we are to the line, keeping it straight, avoiding that potential line. It's actually a little bit of a bump, and it is going to be a 4.89, which puts us provisional pole. And will it be enough?
Next level peak.
Please be enough, I swear.
Yeah, knows quite fast. Well done. Yeah, I think that's horrible.
Josh is finished.
Yep, GG.
And there we have it. We are on pole position by just under 300 of a second, but managed to put the lap together when we needed to. We struggled a little bit to put the sectors together in that quali, but we managed to do it right at the death. So without further ado, here we are in the race. 5 red light off of your screen now, and we get a pretty decent launch off of the line as we head into turn 1 for the first of 36 times. And as you can see, we are actually on the medium tyres as well, as is Jarno, Tom Manley and Josh Edo behind us. Top 4 on mediums, and I believe a lot of other cars behind that were on the hard compound tyre. So we do have a mixture of strategies here to unfold and to see which basically works best as we head now into sector 2. Big difference in qualifying with heavier fuel and different tyres as we head through, you know, the middle sector now.
Oh, I've got damage.
As you can hear, Otis picking up damage in the voice call there in the background. But yeah, successfully navigating our way through sector 2, and priority was, you know, pretty much, you know, the same as always, and that is to, you know, try and, you know, maintain your energy levels for when it counts later in the race, and just have a nice clean opening stint to this race. And yes, so far so good as we, you know, round the final corner now to complete lap 1 of 36 here at Zandvoort in WOR. And we've got Jarno in tow, who got a good start from P3, getting himself up into P2 and skipping on to lap 14 just real quick. Nothing happens. Such is the trend of these races, where things just explode into life later in the proceedings. But yeah, we managed a we actually had a pretty solid first stint. We didn't really need to use the battery ever. The battery was practically full the whole time. In fact, well, it was full the whole time. As you can see, 2 of the medium runners behind us, which I believe were Josh Edo and Tom Manley behind in 3 and 4, yes. P3 and P4, opting to box off of the mediums and onto the hards at the end of that lap, in an attempt to, I guess, get some track position on myself as well. And it would be quite challenging as well, because if Josh and Tom managed to get past, that would make my life a little bit harder, as that's 2 cars who are actually technically in the same team as well, let's not forget, you know, that would make my life a little bit harder. So both of them boxing at the same time, so we need to keep it nice and clean on this in lap, use a little bit of energy as we do get a bit of free regeneration when we get back into the pit lane. And yeah, we're going to be responding immediately to that undercut threat on this lap, as we do not want to fall too far down the pecking order once yeah, all the stops have been made, with track position being pretty crucial round Zandvoort in general. So here we are now on lap 15, diving into the box. Jarno opting to continue on there. We don't actually have that good a pit entry. We were a little, well, I say a little bit, we were quite conservative, but nonetheless getting a, yeah, no penalties, which is the most important thing. And now the most important thing is where we're going to rejoin. So looking down at the minimap on the bottom left of your screen, pit limiter is off, and where are we going to rejoin in relation to Tom Manley and Josh Edo? And there they are, you can see it in the virtual mirror, you can see it alongside me. We slot out just, and I mean just, ahead of Tom Manley. But now the second challenge begins, and that is getting up to speed as quickly as we can, because the hard tyres, and actually any tyre for that matter, while you gain a bit of grip back, these tyres are not up to temperature, and they take maybe 2 or 3 laps to actually reach an optimal window, you know, roughly on, you know, most of the tracks on this game, just as a rough idea. So I will be at a disadvantage to you know, to Tom and Josh behind me for basically the next 2 laps at least. So I need to make sure I get myself, you know, up and running, and try and also not get overtaken by both of them, which was, you know, something that was, you know, something that we didn't want to happen. But here we are now on lap 16.
Look at your wheel.
And yeah, we have more cars boxing ahead of us, off of the hard onto the mediums. So we do have a variety of strategies, and as you can see now, Tom Manley opting to take the position ahead of us, slotting in nicely, which is actually really good for us. Oh, actually good for all of us in this train. Because it means that we're not wasting time in relation to the cars that we've just pitted. Jarno Opmia being one of them. He is boxed, I believe, 2 laps later than us to go onto the hard tire as well. But as you can see, he is 2.3 seconds behind. Make that 2.9 now, as such as the, you know, the tyres not being fully up to temperature immediately. And Alfie Butcher also boxing onto the mediums, so we do have a good bit of strategic variation as we go up the inside of Tom Manley and back into the theoretical lead of this race. And yeah, we were sitting pretty well at this point. Tom Manley opting not to make the overtake at this point in the race. Yeah, not seeing any sort of need or, you know, desperate moment to take the lead in that meantime, as we have more people boxing off of those hard and onto the medium tire. Alfie Butcher, as you can see, setting the fastest lap and actually getting up into P5, as you can see on the leaderboard on the top left hand side of your screen. More people have boxed off, only Tomic has yet to pit, and yeah, here we are now heading into the start of lap 23, and if you look in your virtual mirror, you will have saw cars spinning out, and we have a safety car deployed.
Alfie's just killed cars behind.
So 2 out of 2 of the cars behind us were wiped out of contention in this race. Tom Manley, who was running literally directly the car behind us, is out of this race. Alfie Butcher is completely out of contention now as well, and we are now, you know, having to box, because ultimately if we do not box here, we will be stuck on older hard versus most of the grid who are boxing onto medium or fresh medium tyres. Unfortunately, people had boxed for mediums that are maybe only 2 or 3 laps older than our ones that we're just putting on right this second, a few laps before the safety car, and were able to stay out. So ultimately, this hasn't worked out as good as it could have for us. But ultimately, we were our backs were kind of put against the wall, because if we stay out, we were pretty much guaranteed to lose the position at some point. So we've gone on to new mediums, and the fight back commences. Here we are in P8. We've got it all to do. to try and get ourselves back to the lead in this race. We are using quite a lot of battery as we want to get to work immediately, so we go to the outside, brake super late around the outside of Atomic Pro X on the inside, but he actually just shoves us completely wide going through turn 1, and now we're going side by side. He hits again. We're now onto the marbles. We're now in a tight line. The cars ahead bunch up, and we are now into the back of Nicholas Longy. We have to let him go.
What is going on?
Otherwise, we're getting a penalty 100% because of, you know, the absolute chaos that's just unfolded. And before many of you, I'm quite sure, are racing to the comments to explain to me how I apparently have zero wheel knowledge, or whatever you might want to say, firstly, straight after this race, I went to speak to Nico and just apologised for running into the back of him. And, you know, there's no problem there whatsoever. But this would not have happened as well had we not, well, quite literally right here, been yeeted wide onto marbles, as you can see, picking up on the left side. We have the train ahead of us bunching up. We are on the tight line. I have 2 cars on my outside as well, and the train ahead just bunches up. Now, the mistake I make here is I need to also try and anticipate, you know, the car slowing down. It is up to the car behind. But as you're going to see here, the minimum speed that the cars ahead reached was 92k. Normally, it's 104. So, just to give the context as well of how dramatic things unfolded. And, yeah, ultimately, I'm not trying to deflect blame on me. That is my fault for running into the back of him. Not trying to say anything otherwise. But ultimately, I also don't gain from it, because you can see I'm lifting to make sure that he gets off and out of the corner, no problem. So, yeah, I hope that explanation saves many of you having to slander me in the comments, as, yeah, I'm quite sure many people would love to do that. But anyway, back to the race and all of this chaos. We are somehow ghosted inside Tomic as Nico gets caught on the outside curb.
What's going on?
And I was so confused at that point because I thought Nico had an issue, but it was actually, I didn't realise until after the race, he got caught on the curb. And yeah,
What happened? Why is Nico
now
back
we
here?
are, you know, a bit of a setback, but we are now down to P9, but we have still many laps left in this race to try and recover from that chaos. So yeah, ultimately we just got to get our heads back down. You know, what happened, can't change it, and yeah, let's just get back into it. So lots of fighting still happening ahead, as you can see, and yeah, actually, even like cars going side by side, but the minimum speed that time was 102k. So for context, that lap there, we are 10k quicker than the lap before. Just for some additional context as well, it's kind of crazy out here sometimes when we do some of these races. But yeah, heading through the middle sector, we were actually stuck behind our teammate Danny, who is also, I believe, on fresh mediums as well. I'm not 100% sure when he put it on the medium, so I'm not sure if he had brand new mediums or not, but ultimately we are now right on the back of him, and he actually lets us go at this point, which was really nice of him, going into the final sector. And now we are right on the back of Esteban, but the train again bunching up like crazy. Such is the mixture of tyre grip level at this point, with, you know, the cars ahead being probably on much older tyres and hards, and here we are on lap 27. And we don't have lots of battery, but we need to use, because otherwise you're not going to get anywhere. So Esteban's going tight on the inside line. DRS has been re-enabled. We're going to have a look around the outside, but ultimately we don't have enough overspeed or momentum to make that move work. So we slot ourselves back in as we set P8 in this race. Esteban having a look up the inside, and we have to try and guesstimate where they're going to slow up and where they're not going to slow up. So yeah, really challenging safety car restart, but we are still in this. You know, there's still cars at the head of this train that are on considerably older tyres, so our pace is absolutely, you know,
2 laps older,
good enough to be making our way forward. We just need to pick a right moment if we can, as Jed Norgov and Josh Edo ahead of us are actually going side by side as we get the DRS open as well. And Xander and Esteban Pucci going really aggressive ahead of us. Esteban goes up the inside, Xander holding it around the outside, which then turns to the inside as Esteban goes all the way around the outside, and we have a look up the inside as they go wheel barging slightly. We go up the inside into the last corner. Xander leaves us the space. We're having a little bit of a nudge. DRS open, ERS on, and trying to get the slipstream from Esteban Pucci. Xander's going for it, but ultimately he gives it up. Danny Moreno as well, our teammate, slotting in behind us, also taking the position, and that is us up into P7 as there's Chaos to the lead ahead of us as well. It's all kicking off. The train is continuing to sort of re-bunch up. They're going side by side ahead of us. Josh Edel going for the high line, Jed Norgrove on the soft as well in P5, and yeah, going round and past Josh as well. So yeah, it's all kicking off now at this point in the race. Some people have completely got no energy left. The train again bunching up. I have a little look at the inside, but Esteban actually turns that into an overtake attempt on Josh Edu, who is on the soft tires as well, and he then in turn turns that into an overtake attempt on the inside. It's completely crazy at this point. We have a little bit of a sniff, but we choose not to go for that inside gap. They're both flashing ahead of us. They're going side by side. There's actually, it's all, I mean, I don't even know what to even say at this point. Josh ended up with gravel on his tyres. We're stuck behind trying to get the move done. He is now blinking on ERS, so we should have a good chance of getting him now, as he doesn't have the slipstream either. So we get the DRS open. Danny actually goes to the move as well, but Josh defends to the inside, but Josh loses it, and we're in the wall. And that is our race over. And I just want to say, I don't actually believe that this was anybody's fault at all. It certainly was not, you know, anything Josh could have done more. As I think it was a combination of, you know, being slightly tagged at the wrong angle, a weird bit of contact model, and yeah, what happened with Josh going into my car, that wasn't intentional whatsoever. He messaged to apologise after the race. He didn't need to, because I don't believe he did much really wrong. I don't really think anyone could have done it. I think it was just a bit of a crazy mess that unfolded, and we were just extremely unlucky in that situation.
Yeah.
So that meant our race was over, and yeah, I don't really know what much else to say to that. As you can see, the order on your screen, there was another safety car caused by us crashing on that main straight, and yeah, people box are soft, and yeah, the race kind of kicked off from there, which I guess you guys will see in everyone else's POV videos as well. But yeah, that was my WR Netherlands race. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Hope that you enjoyed the chaos, because those safety car restart laps were absolute madness. And yeah, please don't go in the comments below and be negative towards any driver, whether that's Josh or I mean, even whether it's me or whether it's anybody. Just don't be toxic. Don't try and be a hindsight Harry or whatever. End of the day, while out here racing, we're putting on a good show for you guys, I guess, at the end of the day as well. And yeah, racing is, it's racing. Everything and anything usually does happen. So thank you very much for watching. I hope that you have a great rest of your day. Yeah, like and subscribe if you want to see more of this content. As you know, we've obviously got more league races that we keep doing on this game at the moment. Comment what you thought down below as well, as long as it's peaceful and we're not causing chaos and all that good stuff. But yeah, all good. Have a great rest of your day, guys. I love you all. I know I'm actually rambling at this point. I'm gonna end the video. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, and hopefully see you guys in the next one. Ciao.